back post. Taylor's in there as well, and Edwards! Rob Edwards, with just his second goal of the season, gives Exeter the lead.
Welcome back to KELLOW'S Bootlaces. Kirky, can you explain where you've been all season?
It's been a long time since we've been here. Mate, I've been out with a hammy.
Have you?
Yeah, it's been a long old injury-plagued season.
Wow.
I think
you could have let me know, mate. Every Monday night I've turned up and you've not been there, and I've just had to go home again and eat pizza.
No, on the menu, all good.
Brilliant. And this is a new, well, going back to our roots, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
a bit of video. So this is a bit more fun and opens up a lot more opportunities for us.
Definitely.
So, how have you been?
Been very well, thank you.
Have you?
Yeah,
Good,
yeah,
good.
Yeah.
Well, we're in the boardroom. We're in the boardroom at Exeter City, and it's all right if I just show people around a bit, because a lot of people won't have seen in here. So there's an amazing picture on the wall that I want to show everyone, because this kind of sums up Exeter City and what KELLOW'S Bootlaces is all about. This is the man himself, Tony Kellow, absolute goal-scoring legend for Exeter City, and you might recognise another person in the picture as well, Steve Perryman, our director of football, and that was of course the classic 1981 Tottenham FA Cup tie. So that is, amongst all the pictures on the boardroom, that is my favourite picture, because it sums up, that's what the show's about, Kirky, isn't it? History and heritage.
Tony Kellow,
so let's see what else is here. There's a little bar in here where people are entertained. Oh, there's a fridge. I see if there's any beers in there.
Tributes, mate, in there.
So, don't tell Taggy. Thatcher's. Tribute. Yeah. Oh, we'll have a bit of that in a minute.
Yeah, cheers, Taggy.
So teas and coffees. Don't tell anyone. And of course, this is the boardroom table. So I wonder what decisions are made around this table. Which chair do you think Tiz sits in when he comes in and discusses his player budget?
It's probably one nearest the door, isn't it?
Yeah, you're probably right. You're probably right. And then, of course, on this wall we got some of the Brazil shirts, Fluminense, when we played them, and of course I'm guessing this is the Brazilian legend shirt, isn't it?
What does it say underneath?
That's a good idea. Tour of Brazil, 1914 to 2014.
It's teams we played on the Tour of Brazil, mate.
Yeah, yeah.
There you go.
Quality.
Know your history.
Quality. And back we are again. So you're not allowed in here very often, are you? So it's good to have access in here, and it's good we're filming late at night when no one's around to stop us from going in. Well, we have got a couple of special guests in tonight as well. It's always good to have guests, and he was an ever-present last year, almost, wasn't he? So we need to welcome back into the KELLOW studio, as it is, in the boardroom, Dirty Leeds, Simon Larkins.
Good to see you, mate.
Good to see you.
So quickly, Simon, you've moved on a bit from last year, because last year you came to us, you were at the Echo,
yeah,
and we could give you a bit more abuse, but this year you're actually working for the club.
Yeah, free transfer over to the club, so media manager now, been here a season and absolutely loving it. So
you can do away with the rumour that there was actually a fee paid then, it was a free transfer.
It was a free transfer.
A Bosman.
Well, we've also got another guest in tonight, who was your replacement at the Echo. Would you please welcome the region's premier journal, David Byrom.
Ebbs-Fleet.
Great to see you, David.
Nice to see you too.
And enjoying coming out of the shadows of Dirty Leeds and covering Exeter City yourself.
Yeah, Simon taught me well.
Did he?
Taught me everything I know.
Spell check. He taught you spell check, did he?
Exactly, yeah.
Does he still do the markings, or do you do those?
I do those now,
yeah. Okay, get that one out.
Quality, quality. Well, let's crack on, because obviously we haven't got an hour like we used to have down in the old radio days. So we've missed pretty much a whole season, Kirky. Do you think you could sum up the season for us? Hang on, I'm going to get my phone for this.
Want to switch it off?
Could you sum up the season in a minute?
We used to do a one minute match report, didn't we? In a minute. Oh,
yeah.
mate, what can you say? I mean, it's when do I start now?
No, because I've got to find my timer first.
Okay, you going down? 31 minutes, that says. You can see we're still not organised, can't you?
Best way, isn't it? Let's get down to 1 minute. This is good thinking time for you, mate.
Yeah, I know.
Good thinking time. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Sum up the season for us in a minute.
In 1
Go.
minute. Well, it's the first half of the season 2 halves, isn't it? First cliche there. I think up to Christmas, didn't have the settled back four. I think we got a huge stroke of luck, or good fortune, signing Ruben Reid, and for me that's made the big difference in our season. The Ruben Reid debate is one that we've had many times, because I know we have
I'm coming around
to it. I think he's been the catalyst for our season. I think once we got him in the side, firing on all cylinders, we went on that remarkable run, didn't we? And it's ironic that we're playing Carlisle, I think, because that's when we were at our lowest ebb in November. So going on that run, Portsmouth away, some fantastic victories. And I think then we had that blip where we went down again, didn't we? Because at one stage we were looking at getting automatics.
Yeah.
And then it looked like we weren't even going to get into playoffs. And it's been a season of records, youngest ever player, most consecutive wins, most consecutive games a City player has scored in. So I think for me it's been a season of surprises, a season of records, and let's hope we finish with another promotion at Wembley. How's that?
That was pretty good. I like that.
That's spot on. I should have covered the timer so you couldn't see. He was almost fading into a record at the end there, wasn't he?
You agree with all of that?
Yeah, I don't know how to stop this now then.
There you go.
Oh, there we go. Cool. Yeah, that wasn't bad at all. Wasn't bad at all. And obviously, David, the 12-match unbeaten run was, you know, a major factor in how the season's turned out for us. What do you think kind of kick-started that? Because, you know, we couldn't really get a win before then, and then suddenly we go on this tremendous run.
I don't want to put it all down to one player, but I think Troy Brown coming back was massive with that. You know, his first game back was Carlisle away, where he came off the bench, and you know that was a good performance, Carlisle away actually, although City went bottom. And then he came back, and I think it meant got to spend a little less time organising the defence because they didn't have an injury every week, and from that they will manage to sort of build forward in a way. So you know, it's all about solid foundations. That good run, wasn't it? You know, they didn't concede many goals, and it allowed them to score quite a few, I thought.
And Simon, I guess from your point of view, you came into a job, and that first couple of months must have been really tough for you. You must have thought, what have I come into? And then suddenly we go on this tremendous run, and the job suddenly becomes a lot easier for you because people are willing to talk and a little bit more happy around the club.
Yeah, I mean, that makes a massive difference. The season seems to have flown by from November onwards. It was a bit of baptism of fire. Just going back to that point David made about you know, Troy Brown coming in and the season turning around from there, you'll also notice that Wayne Carlisle came in around that time, Andy Tilson and Matt Taylor's, you know, helping out on the coaching stuff as well, and I wouldn't underestimate, you know, the importance of that, just, you know, having more people to help on the coaching side and pick up little things that have really helped with that run as well, so give them a mention. And
Kirky, you've already mentioned, but you'd add Ruben Reid into the mix as well.
I love him. I love him. Well, you got your balance right, the front end of the pitch and the back end of the pitch. I think with Ruben, the challenge for Tiz is who plays up front with him, because I think, you know, he gets us up the pitch, he holds the ball up, he's chipped in with his fair share of goals. I absolutely love Ruben. I think he's been a talisman player for us because he just holds the ball up and lets us get up the pitch.
Fair point. I'm getting
there. Are you? This is the man that wasn't the biggest Ruben fan. Is that fair to say?
Well, I think you've got to agree with me that potentially no, I think he started slower than we thought he would. Would that be fair to say?
Didn't have a pre-season, though, did he?
No, and that's my argument. Players that don't have a proper pre-season don't seem to hit the ground running because that pre-season is really, really important. So I don't think he started as quick as he could have, except massively. He's a big personality up front. He's strong. He can hold the ball up, and I agree with you. Who does Tiz play alongside him? Because you can hold the ball up, but someone's got to be there to feed off him, hasn't he? But I mean, certainly the last couple of months, he's weighed in massively with goals, late goals, penalties. He's a clever player in the box as well, as we've seen. So, yeah, fair play, fair play. So that brings us on nicely, chaps, to our player of the season.
Yep.
I'll start with you, Kirky. Who would you choose?
For me, I'm going to go Jordan Moore-Taylor. I think he is just such an underrated player. The thing I like about him as well is that, for me, he's a real player's leader. You look at some of the teams, like for example Arsenal have got Theo Walcott as their captain. That's not a captain for me, that's not a leader. Someone like Jordan Moore-Taylor, who leads from the back, chips in with his share of goals. I think what's he got, so about 4, 5, 6, something like that.
He's got about 3 in the last 4, hasn't he?
He has, hasn't he? So he's got some big goals as well, and I think, you know, the lad is what a defender he is. So 100% every week he's in. Jordan Moore-Taylor for me.
Tough to argue with that one, David.
I don't want to really go with the guy who scored all the goals, but I've got to say David Wheeler, I think. He's just scored so many important ones, you know, like away at Portsmouth and so many on that great run that he was on. And I think he's just got so much about him as well, you know, aerially. I've not seen a better sort of winger in the air, to be honest. And he just adds so much to the team, and I think it's really noticeable when he's not playing, because it just... there just isn't that outlet there is when David Wheeler is playing. And to be honest, he's one of those players as well. You might not notice him for about half an hour or so, then he'll pop up with a goal.
Yeah.
He's that sort of player, and I don't think you'd want. There aren't many more players in the team that you'd want to take a chance before David Wheeler, because he's just such a great finisher as well.
Cool, can't argue with that one. That's 2 as well. Simon?
Well, we're all going to pick one different, because I think I'd go for Ruben Reid. I mean, Kirk has said a lot about him already, but I think you look at, we've talked a lot about season-defining moments, and I think that game up at Mansfield, where we would have dropped out of the playoffs had we picked up a draw or a loss there, and Ruben Reid did superbly well in that game to win the late penalty. And I think if we hadn't had Ruben, I think, although maybe started a little bit slower, really got going and during December, January time, and I think the last few months of the season as well, had we not had Ruben Reid, I think we might have just finished outside. So that's why I'd give it to Ruben.
Good shout.
Can't really argue with that one either, can we?
It's whittling down for you, mate. Who are you going to go for?
I'm actually going to go for Jake Taylor.
Okay.
I just think he's a tremendous team player. He scored a few fantastic goals as well, but his work rate and the effort he puts in actually for the team, not just on an individual performance. And I think I said to you early doors, perhaps August, September, that it wouldn't surprise me if Jake Taylor didn't pick up one of the Player of the Year awards, and he picked up the Players Award, didn't he? Which I was absolutely
best one to win, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. If your other teammates are voting for you, that's it. That's an amazing accolade. So yeah, Jake Taylor for me, and I think your choice, David Wheeler, won the fans player, didn't he?
Yeah.
So but all 4 of them, you could argue, and you could argue for a few others as well. I think.
And Woody as well.
Woody until his injury, he was probably having his best season for us, wasn't he? And Christie's done well, hasn't he?
Yeah. I mean,
he's kept us in games, hasn't he, Christie Pym? So
big decision
really
by
has.
Tiz. And that's one of the ones that I think a big decision Tiz has made over the season has been quite overlooked. I think it was before the Wickham game, wasn't it, away, where he bought, was it after that? It was after the Wickham game, wasn't it? He bought in Christie. And Christie's, made some unbelievable saves, double saves.
Some real worldies, isn't he?
Yeah,
he's come on leaps and bounds. So talked about Player of the Season. We've got to move on to Goal of the Season. That's a given. Let's start with you, David. Goal of the season for you?
I've got to say Lee Holmes away at Cheltenham. Me and Simon had a lot of debate over this. I thought it was just, the conditions in that game were terrible. It was 1-1, heading sort of quite well. No, I think it was nil at that point. Yeah, and the conditions were terrible. It was chucking it down with rain, and then Lee Holmes just curls one into the top corner from the edge of the box. And, that was such a big game as well.
Exactly.
Because Cheltenham were down there, City still were. They'd won a couple of games, but they weren't sort of out of the woods yet. And that sort of at that point, with that goal and David Wheeler getting the 2 others, the win as well. It was such an important win, and it really started to see City move away from danger and start to climb the league.
This is an interesting point, because I often have this debate with people. I think I've had this debate with you, Kirky. Is a goal of the season, is it purely the strike, or do you have to take in the circumstances around it, how big the game is, whether it's raining, whether there's a big crowd there? Is it the whole thing, or is it purely just the strike?
It's the whole thing. It's got to be the whole thing. We have had this debate. A last-minute winner down at Argyle, the whole, that contributes towards it.
Could be a two-yard tap-in,
exactly.
Suddenly becomes goal of the season.
I think that game, the one that Lee Holmes scored, was in front of the City fans, a packed away end, wasn't it? Big moment, lashing down with rain, the curl and the whip on it. So you can't just look at the strike in isolation. You've got to take into account the context of everything. So
okay. So your choice then?
Well, these guys know that's my preferred choice, the Lee Holmes goal. So that's why I'm going to stick my vote. But I do think a special mention should go to Jordan Moore-Taylor. The lad again, the boy who I love.
The free kick.
The free kick. I was sat next to you, wasn't I? It's, you said you'd never seen anybody look as shocked, I think, as my face when Jordan Moore-Taylor absolutely belted it in. And I think someone said if there hadn't been a net, it would have started a war in North Korea. It just
good line.
Absolutely went like a rocket. It's probably still going up.
Wow. Well, I'm going to stick to, I chose him for Player of the Season, Jake Taylor, his strike against Hull early in the season.
The Hull one. Okay.
Yeah, and it's hard to remember that we actually played Hull. It seems so long ago, and Mike Phelan was in charge then, wasn't he? It's all changed so quickly. But that strike for me was just a sublime strike against Premiership opposition. Yeah. So that's my choice. So finally, Dirty Leeds.
I don't even think that's the best Jake Taylor goal of the season.
Oh man,
the one against Barnet, hasn't it?
Really?
Little dummy from Pierce Sweeney, bang.
Really?
Straight back in the net.
In a 4-1 win.
Yeah, but that was at 1-1, so if you're talking about stuff surrounding the game, we were 1-0 down at that point, going into half-time, and it was I think that 4-1 win against Barnet was when some of the players has always had the belief there, but where some of the fans thought, you know what, we are in a bit of a false position here. And it gave a little bit of confidence.
So, okay, Mr. Smug, which goal actually won the official?
Jake Taylor's against Barnet. So.
Fair play to you. Let's have a look at that goal.
So you'll see it this season. Oh, that's nicely done and hit by Jake Taylor. What a goal! Oh, pick it out.
Hats off. It was a good strike, but not quite as good as Jake's against Hull.
Already Holmes is.
Anyway, we've pretty much covered off the season in 15 minutes. That's fantastic. But of course, our season isn't over. Hopefully, we've got 3 more games left. We certainly got 2. And it was interesting, Kirky, that we're going to play Carlisle twice. Did we learn anything from last Saturday?
I think we learned a lot from last Saturday. I think that's, you know, they had, you quite often find teams that have to win actually do win, don't they? So they came here. I think Simon said after the game that, you know, we wouldn't be surprised if Tiz spent a lot of the time just looking at the way Carlisle lined up. I mean, they're a big physical side, aren't they? I think it's a bit of a loss if Abiri is out. He went off holding his hammy, didn't he? So possibly he might miss the first leg, but. You know, I think it's a team that Tiz would probably have wanted to face, actually, Carlisle, in a nice big pitch up there. Played so well up there, as David says, 2-1 up here, and really kind of we lost it when we changed shape a little bit in formation. So
well, it was interesting because I thought Saturday we started as good as we've started at home all season, and then second half we, like you say, we kind of lost our shape and lost our way a bit, but. There is a factor to put into that, as you quite rightly said, they needed to win the game, and they certainly showed that ambition second half, didn't they?
Well, I mean, there was 2 dodgy penalties, wasn't there? I mean, the first one definitely dodgy, second one maybe he did clip him, and we can't complain about dodgy penalties because we've had a few, and we gave him far too much room for the free header. But I think one thing that is, you know, absolutely so important, we've just got to sort out the marking of Jamie Proctor, haven't we? Because he looked a complete handful, and we just did not get hold of him. So. Do you stop the source? Do you stop the ball coming in, or do you go with the man or whatever? So I think that would be the big key learning point from last Saturday's game for me.
Is Proctor just the only one to worry about, really, Dave?
I was impressed with the long throws from Sean Miller as well. Actually, he caused havoc with some of those as well, and I think that could be the key, to be honest, because you can stop a cross going in, but you can't always stop a long throw going in the box, can you? So it is about just defending properly from those, which. Obviously, City didn't do with what turned out to be the winner with Proctor's goal, and they actually struggled to defend against crosses at Carlisle. Two of the late goals came from crosses there. So it's a big sort of issue and a big thing to get right, I think, against Carlisle.
Big encouragement, of course, from Saturday, Simon, was we scored 2 really quality goals against them, didn't we? And opened them up enough times in the first half to perhaps have got another couple.
Yeah, when you analyse the 2 games we've had against Carlisle, I think there's goals in this game, certainly. I think it'd probably be the more exciting of the 2 semi-finals. You look at Blackpool and Luton and you think that's going to be a tight, nervy game, whereas actually, Carlisle, Exeter, for any neutrals out there, that's the one to tune into, I think. Yeah.
So let's turn our attentions to Sunday then. Obviously a big game. Advantage being away first, Kirky?
I'm not sure it is, to be honest. I think when we've had 2 playoffs, haven't we? And both times we lost the home leg and won the second leg away. So that's something new to get used to. I mean, it's a bit early to talk about our prediction, but I do think I can see us almost winning away and kind of hanging on a little bit at home, to be honest. But I think I'd rather be away second leg.
Nice big pitch up there, which suits our style of play, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's a great pitch, isn't it? And I think I went onto their website today to look at how their ticket sales are going. They've sold over 7,000, so going to be a corking atmosphere.
Oh, absolutely. And David, let's turn our attention to what we think maybe Tiz will do, because he always pulls something out of the bag in these big games, doesn't he? So there's likely to be a surprise selection along the way, isn't there?
I think so. I can't really say who, to be honest. I think Lee Holmes could come back. I think that could be the big one. He's sort of been
certainly the pitch to suit him, wouldn't it?
Oh yeah, and he played well at Carlisle as well, and he's sort of been a bit shielded since his return from injury, hasn't he? He's not playing too much.
Good point.
And this could really be the game that he sort of comes back in and he sort of gets really sort of ahead of steam again. Other than that, I'm not too sure. I'm undecided as to whether 3 at the back or 4 at the back would be better in a playoff semi-final. you know, if it was a normal league game, you'd perhaps favour 3 at the back, but in a playoff, you don't sort of want to leave yourself too open at the back, especially away from home. So I sort of ummed and ahed over that one. I'm still not 100% sure which I prefer to see Tiz do, to be honest.
What do you think about the back four, Kirky? Because, you know, you ideally don't want to change your back four too much, do you? But, you know, there was, you know, discussions in the stand on Saturday why Jack Stacey wasn't playing, for instance. Yeah, no,
I agree. And I think if we look at, I mean, Tiz will pick a team that he thinks will beat Carlisle primarily, won't it? You know, so it may be that the surprise for me might be Troy coming back in at the expense of someone, because I think he's such an area of depth proctor, and that would be a bit of a curveball. But you're right. You know, do you remember when he brought in Bertie for the Torquay away leg? He's always got something up his sleeve.
He likes to bring in a player that will do a set job.
Exactly. And David's right, because I think if we do go forward at the back, you think who's going to play right back? Because I think Jake doesn't convince me really at right back. You know, he's more a wing back, and Pearce doesn't really convince me at right back. So I think he's a preferred centre back. The left back position is still, you know, Woody hasn't played since he broke his arm. You know, are we fluid enough with Luke in there, particularly if Lee Holmes starts? So I think it's the full backs that are his real kind of problem position to try and sort out. So I wouldn't be surprised if he starts 3 at the back, because I think the players really like the 3 at the back and played it so well at Doncaster. And it did go a little bit south, didn't it, on Saturday when we went to 4 at the back. So I wouldn't be surprised if he goes 3 at the back.
And that leaves midfield, I guess, Simon. What are the options for midfield then?
I think you've got a few options. I mean, Tilly, when he's come in, has done really well, and of course, both Lloyd and Jake Taylor have had, you know, great seasons and played a lot of matches this season. What I like about the Exeter City side is there's loads of options. So we're all guessing at what might be a surprise, and actually he could name the same 11 that he named on Saturday, and they could all play in various different positions. So, you know, Keith Cole's got to be scratching his head trying to work out what Tiz is going to do, because we find ourselves here. So.
I could almost see up front that he would go with Ruben and Liam and leave Ollie on the bench to come on later on to try and affect the game, because I think Ollie was quite quiet on Saturday. Yeah. And maybe that could be an option.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, Ruben's not going to run channels for you, is he? No. In the way that Liam will do. But they've not had much game time together, have they? So I think that will be a little bit of a risk. I think he's on the up though, isn't he? He scored a couple of goals lately, Liam, and he'll certainly put in a shift for you, isn't he? He reminds me a little bit of Jamie Mackey from that point of view. He's got the legs and he'll run and run and run for you. I think he's more likely to pack the midfield, you know, and keep that compact maybe, and have someone in behind, probably Ollie in behind, or he might even have Liam in behind. I don't think he'll play Ruben and somebody right up top.
No, probably not, I guess. Not necessarily his style, because he'll want to be in the tie still, coming back here,
for sure,
whatever.
Yeah, so just keep the tie alive.
The main aim.
Keep the tie alive. Back to the park.
Exactly. So let's do some predictions then, shall we, guys? Who wants to start? Well volunteered. David, come on, let's take a prediction over the are we going to make it to Wembley?
I think so, yeah. I think if you look at the 2 games against Carlisle, City have been unlucky to lose both, and you know that luck's got to run out eventually. I mean, I can, as Simon said, I think there's goals in this tie, but I think maybe 4-3 to City on aggregate.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. That would have us all nervous, wouldn't it?
Oh, no, wouldn't it ever. Age a little bit more then, wouldn't we?
Simon?
4-1
Really? That comfortable a margin?
Yeah, but...
That's over the 2 legs?
Yeah, over the 2 legs, but it's not going to be that comfortable in terms of how it's played out, because we've had 4-1s, you know, here over 90 minutes, and things in certain points in games, it's always quite nervy, so I expect it to still be nervy here at St James's Park for the majority of the second leg.
Cool. Kirky?
I'm inclined to agree with this guy. I think it's going to be, you know, I can see us nip and tuck, you know, 2-1 win away and a 2-2 draw at home or something like that. The tie's definitely going to be alive when we come back here, and it's going to be a long last 10 minutes down at St James's Park on Thursday.
I'm kind of with you as well. I can see us winning away and perhaps struggling a bit home here, just the way it's gone. But saying that, if we go and win away, it's going to give us a massive lift to come back here, isn't it?
Absolutely.
You know, knowing that we're on the front foot then, rather than having to chase something. So, yeah, of course we're going to go to Wembley, aren't we?
Of course
we're going to go to Wembley. We've missed it. We've missed
Wembley.
It's been a long time.
8 years.
Well, thank you, David. Thank you, Dirty Leeds. Great to be back doing something again.
Yeah,
Kirky,
absolutely. Spending time with you again, always good.
Always good, and Tony watching us from the corner there, so thinking one of those guys rambling on about. So thank you for watching, and hopefully we'll see you before Wembley.